Whole lot of Tetris though. Holy moly. That's a lot more Tetris than I thought we were going to run into with this. Alright everybody, hello and welcome back to another episode on Good Company with me, Spacefish, and welcome back to our magnificent factory out here. In the last episode, we finally finished overhauling all of this stuff out here for our courier bots, and we're now slowly but surely actually looking at making the ideal versions of some of our products, namely our calculators and our cassette players, as those were the first products we ever actually got going on this particular version of the playthrough. And we are going to be looking to make the ultimate perfect 100% version of all of these products, and then more in the future, get all the production lines going so that in the end we will end up with a company that sells all the best products in the world to its customers, makes a whole lot of profit, and we can live happy ever after. So that is the plan to start this episode then. But just quickly before we get going, if you're new around here and if you happen to have not hit that subscribe button just yet, please make sure to do that right now, or if you happen to enjoy that episode, of course, because we are currently on the hunt for 1k subscribers, and every single one would mean the absolute world to me. So thank you very much if you did that, and without further ado, let's hop right in. So, let's first things first look up here at the Blueprint Designer. You can all probably very much remember that we were looking at making this Texas Instruments Mark III calculator the last time. Everything's already pretty much laid out in terms of the component tree, so that's all done and dusted and beautiful. We've got the reinforced case laid out, we've got all the modules that we need, so we can already start making plans there. The only thing that we really need to finish up here is the final design, and I think that we are going to stick with this yellow square route 1. Honestly speaking, I would have really kind of preferred the divided orange, because I think that's just the one that looks the best, so we should have probably started out with the other colors, but I just want some little bit of a change for our final iteration of this thing, so that is what we are going to go and end up with. So, that is that one design finished then. Now, in terms of this thing right here, we also already have the Keith 700C. You can see we're at a sound quality of 8.8 out of 10, and everything else is pretty much maxed out. That's not all we're currently making though, to my knowledge. We're still using the 600C. So, let's just have one final look at this one too, because we have never actually finished this design off. I mean, for an appearance, I think we're in a good spot. It's looking all good and beautiful, so happily going to take that design. The only thing is that, of course, we're still lacking a tad bit of sound quality, so I suppose it's going to be worth double checking if we want to stick with that, or if we want to make some changes. So, currently, we're using these stereo speakers, which are 2 beepers, 9 electronic parts, so that's actually quite simple. I think from our current setup, if we just look through the transparency down here, or just move to the side of it, you can see that we still have the beepers going because we do need them for the monophone speakers as well, so the change would not be the hardest in the world. This one here also not being the craziest, but the thing is, I mean, we need to go to 10 for a sound quality, so I guess there has to be some sort of inherent overlap here. If we were to go for one of these, it wouldn't really be easier to make than this. And the thing is, only with 2 would we really like. It would utterly increase the costs of this product, quite honestly speaking. For not much of a gain, I think, honestly, at these 4.6 stars and that 8.8 out of 10, I think at this level we can just probably be happy with life and call it quits. Because otherwise, I mean, what is the real alternative here? The only alternative would be either getting a 3rd stereo speaker underway or getting 2 advanced audio modules on the way. Both of which would be significantly more expensive than just having 2 stereo speakers, while at the same time not really yielding to any more significant amounts of sales, to be quite fair. I mean, in terms of an economical perspective, I don't think it makes any sense. And at the end of the day, I think we still got to kind of keep that economical perspective in our mind. So I think this design is honestly quite fine. Now, the only question that we're really left with is which one do we want to start out with first? I have the feeling that the cassette player may be the easier one for us to take care of, just because we have more space remaining out here. I mean, we certainly have this side building. We can do some machine work out there too if we really feel we need to. But I think this may be the easier approach. Let's have a look at the blueprint. Let's first things first, actually finish this design off as well, because I'm very, very happy with it. I think, with me accidentally hitting the spacebar right there, I think we can be very, very happy with that. So we're going to go with that. Looking at the design, I mean, the stereo speakers we've already cleared. It's not really the hardest process in the world. In fact, I think the only thing we'd really need to change is move this electronics workbench from monophone to stereo speakers and put in some other materials, which may actually even not require this workbench anymore. Wait, really? Is it actually easier for us to make these than monophone speakers? Do we have plastic parts? This may be... That's actually quite interesting, honestly. I mean, these are stereo speakers in my mind. Oh, no, never mind. We actually need 2 beepers per stereo speaker. So what we'll have to do is we'll have to make beepers here as well, I guess. We won't need these anymore. And then we'll need a separate assembly line for the final stereo speakers, which isn't the most terrible thing in the world still. But, may actually make things a tad bit more complex. But I think that's something we can deal with. Next thing that we would have on the list here would be quad battery stacks and shortwave radio links. Now, shortwave radio links, I'm quite sure we're not making those. Quad battery stacks, what exactly do we need for those? Haven't really gotten that on the way for quite a while now, so we'll have to find out. Okay, so 2 battery stacks. What was our old design? Okay. And we needed that many chemistry tables. Oh yeah, 2, okay. Interesting. I mean, we still require some space. I'm not quite sure we have enough, but I have an idea where we need to go with this. Now the question is going to have to be, first things first, how do we redo this beeper production right here? I think the answer has to be we get rid of this chemistry table, we get a machine going to make us the circuit boards, we get another plastic parts table, and we get a set of 4 tables for the beepers, and the stereo stuff is going to be right there. So let's do that, I think. We are going to go and, I mean, we're just going to already interfere with this production line. We don't really have much of a choice given the low amount of space that we have. So this table is going to go. And we are instead going to go and place another... Well, technically, we don't actually need another workbench, do we? We could just upgrade this one to a more advanced one. Which would mean that we can just use this worker for, like, stereo speakers or something, which isn't the worst thing in the world in my mind. Or, well, beepers, given that these guys are going to do the stereo speakers. So I'm quite happy to just upgrade this. If we look at this, I mean, precision workbench 0.4 days. The question kind of also being, of course, where do we need all these plastic parts? Now this here we won't need anymore, so that'll technically free up some of them, but I think we also need the plastic parts for our stereo speaker production, so we'll have to kind of go and sum up how much we need. In terms of these, no, where's our frequency for these? 0.6 days, which is actually an interesting point, because I think these, no, on an advanced electronics workbench also takes 0.6 days. So in 0.6 days, we would need 2, we would need 4, 6, 8, okay, so we would need 12 in 0.6 days. We can make, yeah, we can make sufficient amounts with just one workbench, I'm quite sure. So that's fine. We're going to keep things at that, and then we can reuse this employee somewhere else. So, out here, we will now be making stereo speakers, which is all beautiful and fine. What we will kind of want to get rid of here for the time being is going to be these logistics connections, because what I think I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to move this thing here over for our new little setup for the beepers. So we'll put that up there for the time being. Actually, probably not the most efficient use of space. What we could end up doing is just let employees move around here instead. If we do that, I'm not quite sure that's also... This pillar is really in the worst spot, no? I think that's literally the worst spot you could have ever imagined for a freaking pillar. How will we do this? Maybe... I mean, this table right here we don't need anymore in its current role, but we can reuse that table for beeper production. So if we place things like that instead, I think that's a good approach. This shelving rack right here we'll just put aside for the time being. And then we will go and put down one more electronics workbench right here. Now for these things, we can actually upgrade these to the advanced electronics workbenches for the stereo modules. We'll definitely do that to align production frequencies. Right here we will be doing beepers then, all along the place. And we will go and not go to employees, but we'll go to this and make sure that all the logistics connections to that old thing are gone for the time being. Now, in terms of that, then we can go and move this employee now over. No, wait, not higher. We can move this employee now over to that table, and that means we are not going to need a single new employee for this entire production chain, which is awesome in my mind. No more costs then, at least employee costs, for this entire stereo speaker production, which I think is sick, honestly. I mean, material costs certainly, and we had to upgrade some workbenches and stuff. That is quite fine in my mind comparatively. I think quite good right there. I'm going to go and move this thing a bit more into the corner so I can maybe use this space for something else in the coming minutes. But that is that done for the time being, and I'm quite happy with that. Now the next thing that we're going to have to do is first thing find out what this thing's all about. Was that an overflow storage? It may have been. Yeah, that's an overflow storage of old parts we don't need anymore, is it? Or is that where they take the casings from? No. What's... I'm very confused. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take all this, and we're just going to take that and throw that somewhere else at some point. We're going to get rid of that thing, because I'm quite sure that we don't need that anymore. Fingers crossed if anything stops working, you know. We're going to know. But now, what I want to do then, and that's going to be the interesting part, is I think we're going to need a lot of chemistry tables for this. I am feeling, if we want to keep the 2 assembly tables running, we're going to have to see about frequencies here, maybe real quick as well, but I'm feeling that we may need 8 tables plus 2. Will we? No, I'm actually quite confused. Wait. So, thus far, yeah, so we have 2 tables for this one, 2 tables for that one. Now, technically, we need 2 quadruple battery stacks, which each need 2 of these. So, in order to keep 1 of these running, we would now need 4 of these tables, plus the quadruple battery stack table. So, we will technically need 10 chemistry tables, and I don't think there's any alternatives in terms of machines. So, that's quite the crazy one, thinking about it. And there's no real alternative. We can't upgrade these any further either, to my knowledge. No. So, the only question would be... Oh god, the quadruple battery stacks on top of that have a production frequency of 1 day. That's actually also something to keep in mind, because maybe we are technically already working for 3 assembly tables right here. While these are going at 0.6 days, we would, if we were to go with a setup of like 4 per quadruple battery stack fabrication line, end up needing like 3 tables for the quadruple battery stack fabrication to even closely keep up with the frequencies, which would mean that we would have enough parts to make 1 calculator every 0.6 days per table in the very end. Which currently with the old plan is most certainly possible, but I'm thinking that the new one, we're going to need, yeah, we're going to need a full day to assemble this. So, I guess the realistic question is, do we want to do this with 3 assembly tables? I think my answer would be yes. Just given the reason that we're probably going to firstly have incredibly high demand here, and that we also already have that much of a stereo speaker output, and we would otherwise just be utterly overproducing things. It's going to make things a whole lot more complicated, but I mean, look at this. Potential sales next week, 30. I think we're going to try that. Now, one way or another, we're going to need a whole lot of reshuffling for all this, because I think what we're going to do is we're going to move all this battery stack production to up here in sets like out there, basically. So that we're going to move, which... Uh-oh. Why is this connected to all of these? Why is that connected to all of these? And why is that not connected to all of those? That's so weird. Okay, we're gonna fix this. Is this... No, this zone's not on auto. Maybe this was an auto logistics once and that's what messed it up. I've got no clue. But most certainly we're gonna try and fix that. So this small shelving rack then is gonna stand on that side of this set of tables. And for this one, yeah, I mean that's super weird. I don't know how that ended up being the case. Maybe I also just messed up at some point. But yeah, so that makes a whole lot more sense. That small shelving rack then standing at that side of the tables, and that's our first set of 4. We need 8 though, so it's going to be an interesting one. I think that we're going to move the production to all the way down there, basically. Not quite sure where I would be placing the 3rd assembly table as of yet. And if I cannot use this space down there a bit more effectively, I am considering if we could not do something a little more like that for the stereo speakers. Why am I hearing tapping sounds? Is my character moving about the map again? No. No clue what that is. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of debating if we can use that space a little more efficiently. And that way, at the same time, allow ourselves to plonk down 3 assembly tables somehow. But currently not quite seeing how I want to do that. I mean, it doesn't really quite matter if our employee's closed in right there, but that's not the right employee, is it? Okay, that's her? Is that her? No, that's her. Okay, let's close this person in then. That way we've got the assembly tables down there. Oh, we've still got a way through right here, which means that we can supply these 2. Technically, we could also just move that one further up, but that would waste a tad bit of space. Then we could have an assembly table, and we do need 3 at this point if we keep going with the plans. We could go for an assembly table right there, have the big shelving rack somewhere up there in the middle-ish. Can't close these guys in, so that's kind of the limit of where we need to be. Technically, we could actually move this assembly table up without any repercussions, because we still have a way in right there, and that would kind of free up a tad bit of space for these dudes out here, and we could just have a corner shelf for them to work with, which would work given the amount of input materials they need. So let's go and place one right there before we forget about that. Yeah, and this person can be supplied from the outside. This person can just stand in the middle of the table and have a bit of fun glitching herself into it. But that way, we kind of have this reassembly table set up. We can now, through the space that we've kind of set up right here, actually get some more things going. What was this about? Oh, right, that was this random weird thing that we don't even need anymore. We're going to put that down there then for the time being. This, though... This being in the way. Not quite sure what that was. Oh. Oh. What's this? Okay, so this thing is connected to that table up there, you're telling. Okay, what are we going to do? Oh, no, not that. Just going to move that one there, that one there. I mean, the logistics connections we could take care of after. I just want to make sure that nobody's kind of blocked in anywhere. So with that all there done, what we can now do is we're going to go to basic crafting again. We're going to get another... This would only be 2 chemistry tables that we would be able to fit in right here. I suppose we can get 2 chemistry tables right there, which we could make for the quadruple battery stacks. We could get another 2 right here. And why can I not place one right here? Is that because there is the employee in the way? Oh no, that's because, yeah, right, because of the access point for the table. The issue is we can't really place these things right here, because any shelf that we would place would have to go on the side, which isn't the worst thing in the world, I guess, given that we would have an overproduction of batteries. The alternative would be placing things like this, but that would start closing people, which I don't really like either. I suppose we can just make it work like that and have the employees move a tad bit more. It's not ideal. I don't think we have the space to make it ideal unless... No, that would block things here. Even if I got rid of that courier pallet, I would block people, which I don't want to have happen. So I think we're just going to line things along the side here a bit. And we're going to make it start rather early here and then move to right. Actually, that still blocks people because I need a shelf for those 2 tables. Unless I make this guy use that shelf too, which I guess we will do. So that's the plan. We'll get a small shelving rack going right there, a small one going right there, and we'll get one going right there, one here, and one there. And that's the production setup not complete, because we still need the shortwave radio link. Oh god. So the shortwave radio link, I suppose, we're going to have to get that in from up here. We could just use this conveyor entry and then have a delivery pad right there. So that's technically doable, and then we've got a door right here, so it doesn't matter if we block that one. Whole lot of Tetris, though. Holy moly. That's a lot more Tetris than I thought we were going to run into with this one, so honestly, that makes me a bit more worried for the calculator, given how much space we've comparatively already used over there, but then again, this is a little bit wider, and we've got some outsourcing space here and here, so it's gonna work, I'm sure, but god, it's a lot of Tetris we're doing out here. So out here, we're going to be doing the battery stacks too. Then we're going to be making the quadrupled battery stacks right there. And then that's all going to flow into there, alongside with the stereo speakers and with the soon-to-be shortwave radio links. And then, the one thing that I've actually not looked at yet is if we are going to need a new sort of casing. Why can I not see that in the design thingy right now? Is it because we've finalized it? Great, so we will go up here, and we'll go to blueprints, and we'll go to the Keith 700C, and we see that we need a windowed case. Yeah. So, that is going to be an interesting one. Windowed cases, not the craziest thing to make, so maybe we'll actually just outsource the windowed case production to up here, and then do the shortwave radio links in here, and get the cases in through there. We'll find a solution, but one way or another, I think we're a whole lot of a step closer to finally getting the Keith 700C underway. Next episode, then, we're going to continue doing this. We're going to outsource all the other production steps to here, or get some builds right there. And then we're going to start hiring employees, redoing the entire logistics system, and hopefully soon-ish also producing our first few cassette plays. So very much looking forward to that. I hope you all are as well. I hope you all enjoyed the episode too. If you did, please make sure to hit that like button right down below. That does always help out the channel a ton. And if you're new around here and haven't done so just yet, also please consider subscribing right down below, as well as hitting that bell icon to stay up to date on all future upcoming episodes. But with all that out of the way then, as usual everybody, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I will catch you in the next episode very, very soon. Ciao.